Hello Soma fam. So today we're going to learn a whole lot, and you can see this mannequin is beside me. We're going to learn how to take accurate body measurements. So I'll use this as a guide to be able to see how to take accurate body measurements and to show you different types of measurements we have. We have the inches, we have the centimeter, and how to take measurements for pattern drafting, how to take measurements to make accurate fitted outfits for the body, and then the mistakes we make as fashion designers that leads us to having to make mistakes in pattern drafting and garment construction. So just stay tuned and learn the whole lot you need to learn as a fashion designer, because we want to stand out to be the best, as so with Marwa. So first and foremost, we're going to start with our measuring tape. There are some measuring tapes that has just centimeters and inches. So we have centimeters, the measuring tape for just centimeters at the back. There's some countries that use centimeters to measure, and then there's some that uses inches to measure. So sometimes I use this measuring tape which has both inches and centimeters to compare. If I have, maybe I'm learning the tutorial on YouTube and they are giving their measurements in centimeters, I know how to transcribe to inches. For example, when we're doing for our inches, our centimeter, if centimeter it is 10 centimeters, we know that inches is usually a little bit wider, so we'll call 10 centimeters 4 inches. Check here, see your 10 centimeters and see your 4 inches, so it's wider by 1/8. It's wider by 1/8. So I'll show you why we're referring to it as 1/8 and why inches, it's where there's a 3/4, where there's a half, and all the likes. So just stay tuned, I'll come up close to show you about this. So first and foremost, you'd see this measurement, you'd see things like 1 inch. So now this is inches, and inches is divided into, so this is where we start our 0 and then we go to our 1 inch. So this is 1 inch, this is 2 inches, and this is 3 inches. So the reason why this is called, this from this point to this point is called 1/8 is because everything is shared into 8. Let's count it. 1 from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So where you have 4/8, we have our half. If you break it down, you can be able to see it. We have 4/8 is equals to half. For example, if I bring this up here, we have 1 inch is into 8 smaller divisions. So where we have situations like where our this point, we have 1/8, we have 2/8, we have 3/8, we have 4/8, we have 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So if you divide this, you have 1 inch. That's why 8/8, if you count it all the way from this point to this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then that's where we have our 8/8, which is 1 inch. It's just simple maths. And then we have at this point 7/8, 6/8. If you break this down, we have 3 over, that's 2 here, 3, 2 here, into 8, we have 4. So that's why we have our 3/4. So when we get to this point, see it, 8/8 is 1 inch, right? And then this point is 7/8, and here is what? 6/8, and 6/8 here, 6/8 here. The same thing as 3/4, what we just measured now. Okay, and then we have our 5/8 here, 4/8, and 4/8 can be divided. We have 2 here, 2 here, and then we have 2 here and 4 here. If you break it down again, we have 2 here, 1, and 2 here, 2. And that's why we have our 1/2. So that's why this point here is called half. That's why this point here is called half. Because of this 4/8, we have our half. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how we measure our inches. And at this point too, we have our 1/4. If we break it down here, 2 here, 1, 2 here, 4. We have our 1/4. So we have our 1/4. Do you understand? So we have our 1/4, half, 3/4, and 1. So if you say here, 1/4 is same thing as 0.25. Here is 0.25. Same thing as half, which is 0.5. And then here is 1 inch. So it's as easy as that. And here is 3/4. If you break it down, we have our 3/4. So 0.35. We have our 1 inch here. And then we have our 1.5. And then we have 1/3/4. And then we have 2 inches. Do you understand? You can have 1/4. Do you understand? 1/4, same thing as 1.25. 1.5, same thing as 1.5, and then 1/3/4. Do you understand? See, 1/3/4, same thing as 1.85. Then we now have our, all the way to our 2 inches. So that's just easy how our inches is measured. So if you know how to take care of your inches, you're good to go. Then let's move on to our centimeters. Now in centimeters, we have 1 centimeter is same thing as 10 millimeters. So see the reason why we have that. It's all in bits and it's tiny, tiny, tiny. So I'll just break it down a little bit for you to understand. So let me start from our 10. Let's start every time from our 0. So don't mind that our measuring tape is almost divided here. So here we have our 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter is here. And then we count 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very tiny. 5. So if you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 millimeters. We count 10 lines to get to our 1 centimeter. So that's just how we break it down. If you want to say 1, you get to the middle here, there's a 5th line, you get 1.5 centimeters. And you get to the 10th line, you call it, so it's the same way you break it down. This is in centimeters. So if you want to break it down the same way I've just shown you how to break it down for inches, the same way you break it down for this. All you have to do is just put your 1 over 10, 2 over 10, all the way to your 10 over 10, to 10 over 10. And then we have our centimeter measured. I want you to take note of this. When you're taking measurements, ensure that the measurement for the body, this is the measuring tape you make use of, and whatever measuring tape you make use of for the body, ensure you make use of the same measuring tape to measure for the body you take to measure your garments as well. So because different measuring tapes will give you different answers and different measurements, which can, you think you took the accurate measurement, and then when you make use of another measuring tape, you find out that there's a bit of a difference. So be very careful. Whatever measuring tape you make use of, no matter how they look alike, ensure that that's the same measuring tape you use to cut out the fabric as well. And then your ruler, when you make use of this, stick to this. It's flexible. Don't make use of the measurement on your ruler, except if you've checked and you can ascertain that they are both the same. Now, can you see the slight difference between the two of them? There is a tiny difference. And so if you're trying to take an accurate measurement, several of this joined together will give you a wide difference. So let's go straight to the body measurement. Taking our body measurement, first and foremost, we'll take our round circumferences. So we'll start with our shoulder. So usually our shoulder is not measured from the front, not this way to measure a shoulder, but behind to measure a shoulder. So from this point to this point, we'll measure, you see, from here to here, we have our 16 inches. So 16 inches. So when we're taking our measurement, we divide by 2, and that means 16 inches. If you check my previous video, 16 inches will mean 8 inches. And there are some people's measurements that are 7.5. That means their measurement is 15 inches. It's less. But this shoulder is a bit wide. This is for a taller person. And so that's why it's 16 inches. And so some people, 15 inches. And then we'll take for our bust. This is how you take your bust. Are you seeing this? I'm trying to raise the hand so that you see how it looks. So pass our measuring tape underneath the arm and come to the midpoint here. Okay, so now we have, if you check, we have, it's not too tight, it's not loose, it's just the perfect fit. My finger is just down there by just a little bit. And then I'll see where this measuring tape, this one, stops at this point. So that's how I'll take my measurement. So this is 33.5 inches, 33.5 inches. Can you see? That's for the bust. Then we have for our under bust. Our under bust is from this point directly under the bust. So in this case, I'll make sure it's leveled. So in this case, see the measurement is 26.25. See, it's 26.25. That's 26 and a quarter. 26.25 measurement. Then we come down to our waist. So our waist is 24.5. You see where this measuring tape stops directly behind it? 24.5. So I'm using the 1 inch side and measuring all the way to here. I'm holding it this way. Can you see? 24.5. Then I'll go down to the hips. So in this case, her hips. So the waist is usually the smallest part of the body. Where sometimes above the navel. The navel could be here, and then it could be above the navel, not directly where the navel is. So that is the waistline. When you're doing for your low waist, thank goodness this is directly for the trouser. If you're taking measurements for the trouser waist is different from the waist where the gown stops. So when we're doing our vertical measurements, this is for the horizontal measurements. When we're doing our vertical measurements, I'll show you exactly where all of them are placed. So in this case now, this is the waist for our trouser. So the waist for our trouser is 27 inches. This is for the trouser waistline. Then we come down to our hip. So our hip is the biggest portion of the body, and this is 40 inches. So this is where our hip is, 40 inches. Can you see? I hope the video comes all the way down to that point. So this is 40 inches for our hip. Take our vertical measurements. You place it directly on the shoulder. You see here, this part of the shoulder. Don't add, don't reduce, just use exactly the measurement. So place the measuring tape at that point and then come down here. So the widest, where the nipple ends, the widest part of the body, we measure, and this is 10.5 inches here. Not above it, not below it, but here. This is 10.5 inches. Then we'll go to our under bust. So our under bust is 14 inches. 10.5 and 14. You see it's directly under the bust, 14 inches. Then we go down to our waist. 14 inches, we go down to our waist. Our waist is 16.5 inches. 16.5 inches, just this point. So we always go to the midpoint of it, not where the waist begins, but in the midpoint of our waist, up and down. You remember I told you above the waist would be 1 inch and down 1 inch. So that's like 2 inches. Our waist is always smooth from that point. So here is 16.5 inches. This point here is our waist. Above, sometimes above the navel by 1 inch. So then we'll come down to our trouser waist. So this was 16.5. Our trouser waist is at 19 inches. Shoulder to trouser waist, 19 inches. Then we come down to where our hip is. So our hip in this point is 24 inches. So it's where the center, where the waist is more voluptuous, where the hip is more voluptuous. So if I turn it this way, you'd see how it looks. Where the hip is most voluptuous. So I'll put this and then see it. Can you see? So in this case, it's 25 inches, yes. So looking at this, where the part is most voluptuous, we use our 25 inches. Here and here. You see? And you see 1.5 up and 1.5 down. That is where our hip, our bum is big and up, and it's not peaky, it's not pointy. It always lays a bit flat at this point. Do you see? And that's where we'll take our measurement. So in this case, it's 25 inches, not 24. So using your eyes, you can be able to see where it is and then link up where your hip is. So from there, you can be able to divide, cut it down. When you want to get your waist to your hip, you reduce your shoulder to your waistline and now know what is left from here to here. So instead of breaking it down and putting your measuring tape like this and putting it down, all that, all you have to do is just put it from the shoulder and measure. And that's the same thing you do all the way to your thigh, to your knee, and then to the full length of the gown or outfit. So this is how you take your measurements, and this is how you place it directly on the shoulder, on the bust, all the way, can you see, all the way to the bottom part. And then when we're taking our measurement for our crotch, this is what you do. You place your measuring tape underneath. Make sure it's at the back of the trouser as well as here. So our crotch is 25 inches from this point to this point. 25 inches. Let me show you behind where I put the measuring tape so that you know exactly where I placed it. So I placed it here, can you see, directly where the trouser is, and then brought it to this point. We have 25 inches for our crotch length, entire length of the crotch. So if you want to take your crotch height, you can do this. Some people would have to sit down to be able to take the measurement. So usually I'll do this. So from here to here is 9.5. Where our crotch, the front crotch, where it starts sliding down, is 9.5. And if you want to sit down to take the measurement, for your crotch height. And usually the crotch length is usually divided by 2 and then minus 3 for the front part and then plus 3 for the back part. The back part is usually longer. So that's how it works out for our crotch. And then for your thigh, you place your measuring tape and measure your thigh. So in this case, our thigh is 22.5 inches. I hope you can see it. 22.5 inches. And we're good to go. So was that not easy? So the mistakes you make as a fashion designer would be to either make it too tight, very tight, and squeeze the body as though you're trying to get. Or see the mistakes that people can make from the backwards, measuring. So be very careful so you don't do this and measure and get the wrong measurement. So this is wrong. And then that means you have to start from your 1 inch and to take your measurement. And then another thing people do is trying to make it so tight, squeezing it that you see flaps or not, and the flaps at the top and flaps at the bottom part. That is wrong. So when you're taking your measurement, ensure it's exactly the measurement. So that if there's anything you want to add, you add. If there's anything you want to reduce, you reduce. And then don't make the mistake of using a measuring tape that is not flexible. There's some measuring tapes that are very stiff. It means you have to change your measuring tape. I have a stiff measuring tape like that. measuring tape now is very stiff, so it means it has to be changed. You see it breaking this way and getting damaged. It's already so stiff and it's not flexible, so it means you have to get a new measuring tape and change this measuring tape. You need a measuring tape that is flexible and soft to the use and hand. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on how to be a professional and outstanding fashion designer. If there's any video you want me to make, just go ahead and tell me in the comment section, and I'll get it ready for us to both stand out. Bye.